So I just want to jump right in, but I wanted to recap Dave's new interior design side hustle that he picked up. He learned a new skill from Netflix last week, and now it's his thing he's doing. It could become a full-time business for him. He could walk away from his day job and start building sex rooms for people. Dave, you want to tell everybody what you're into, what you're doing?
Oh, man. Building a sex room. Yeah, I'm decided to start a new side hustle. Got tired of being a social worker. Just said
from social work.
I'm gonna help
you. Natural climbing of the ladder. That seems like a natural, progression of skills.
I was gonna say, honestly, I'm sure your current job can lend a few skills to this new one. She has a lot of consultation aspects to her business, so I feel like you could.
Yeah, there's going to be a geriatric couple that wants to build a sex room at some point. I'll be like, all right, now now my skills come into place.
So if you missed last week's episode, we're talking about like the most clickbaity part of last week's podcast is the mention of the show How to Build a Sex Room on Netflix that Dave clued us into. It's a documentary. It's complete science, and no, it's actually like reminds me of a home improvement show.
It's exactly that. There's the only difference between it and Property Brothers or any of those other shows is it has to deal with sex rooms.
There's a little bit of sex. Yeah. So now, Jordan, see if you can follow my logic here. And I'm assuming you can because we were texting about it. But the evolution of these shows would be take the sex room elements into escape rooms. Yeah. And you have to have sex to escape from the escape room. Instead of like find the magic key or like unlock this puzzle or whatever, there's some sex involved.
I think, you unlock an orgasm, you get to move on to the next phase.
Truly level up.
All right, genuinely pleasure your wife. Genuinely do it. Can't leave. Can't get to the next room until it's done.
Or you have to do like a quickie where like you have only a certain amount of time to get off, I can see, So there could be a speed aspect to this. I don't know. I'm here for it. So
it sells itself like that. That'll be Netflix's #1 show for 2 weeks at least.
The only problem, Dave, no refunds, because you were just talking about you got to get your wife off in the first part of the room. How many dudes are going to be? There's some dudes that are going to be stuck there.
No, that's a risk you take.
That's a risk. You signed the contract. Everybody gets off or no one leaves. No one goes home if not everybody gets off. That's the golden rule. There you go. Everybody wins. I mean, truly, like in the other escape rooms, maybe one person wins. No, this game, everyone wins.
I don't know why that just reminded me of this Futurama line. It's like where they are stuck on the island where it's like death by snooze. And Zap is like, the mind is willing, but the skin is soft and spongy. It just like makes me laugh so hard.
Every time you bring up Futurama, I think it's going to be my next like major binge of a classic series because I've never seen the entire series.
Oh man, it's like so good. Dave. What are you doing?
It is probably my religion, to be completely honest, but yeah.
But speaking of adult cartoons, I did watch the Bob's Burger movie, and I felt like I was kind of let down.
Really? I thought it was, you know what? I've seen it twice now, and it's just what it needs to be. Like, it doesn't strive to be too much, but it just kind of sticks in its lane. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
I, like Dave, had to try to attempt to watch it 3 times already. So, not that I'm not interested. It's just I feel like I need to sit down and like dedicate energy to watch it right now. But I'll get to it someday.
Well, part of it is like another mystery involving the landlord, and I feel like they've done that. They did that in the show already. Like they spent a lot of time in like I think it was like a 2-parter where they're at his mansion.
I thought that way about a lot of the events because like they've already done the sinkhole thing when the shark fell into the sinkhole. There was like a couple things like, and Louise has already done like a crisis about her ears, and it's just like I thought there was a couple of things where I was like, okay, I mean maybe they did that on purpose, but
I don't know.
I was kind of surprised they chose a sinkhole plot for the movie because that's exactly what The Simpsons did. Like it's one of those Simpsons already did it situations. I don't know, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment of it. I mean,
Dave thinks he's wearing a T-shirt, but it looks like a pajama top, and it does.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So he's got Simpsons on the brain tonight. We'll let it go for now. That's all right. that's not the news for the evening. In other home video headlines, there's a live-action Lilo and Stitch on its way. What do we think about this?
Coincidentally, I don't know if it was because it was in the air of this news story, but I actually rewatched the original Lilo and Stitch this last week, and I kind of don't want them to touch it, but like I've also not hated like the Jungle Book, and actually I didn't mind the Lion King remake, so I don't know, maybe it'll be okay.
Yeah, but those are all animal-specific movies, like where the characters are animals, with the exception of like the kid and whose name is Mowgli. Yeah, Mowgli in the Jungle Book is like the only human in that story, and then it's all animals that look more realistic with their CGI or whatever. But Lilo and Stitch live action, I think it's going to be like a Gremlins ripoff. Like the only movie I can equate it to is like, little monsters like running amok for 90 minutes. It sounds like it'll be kind of Gremlins-esque, you know?
Well, the other thing is the director is not a bad director, but like he just did that movie Marcel the Shell Marcel the Shell, blah 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 blah, which it has 100% or 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. I would knock it down a peg because I thought I was completely bored by it.
See, oh man.
But the point being is like he just made an animated movie that is so gentle and soft and quiet, and Lilo and Stitch is the complete opposite of that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not exactly sure that's the right choice, but I don't know.
I'll be interested in watching it. The only live action I haven't seen is the Mulan, and everybody poo-pooed on that pretty hardcore.
Really? I actually kind of liked it.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Most of Disney's live action adaptations haven't been horrible. I didn't mind not Sleeping Beauty, but Cinderella or Beauty and the Beast. But I don't know. Lilo and Stitch just feels like that one seems it should only be animated. So I don't know.
It would be cool if they include the cultural stuff, like if they have like the island history and all that stuff, and like the dancing and all that. That'd be cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Samara Weaving, who was in Ready or Not, which is like a pretty cool horror movie where the bride is going to be killed by the bridegroom and his family, like it's like a game or something, and they do it because they serve like some demon or something like that has like a deal with the grandfather or whatever. It's a good. I mean, I like that.
It was like a family who like built their fortune on making a deal with the devil, I think, or something.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, like some high level demon or whatever, or the devil. I don't remember exactly the devil. They had a different name for it or something. But anyway, Samara Weaving is going to be in Scream 6. I mean, obviously, it's the Ready or Not directors and writers that did Scream 5, so they're just like including their best ofs now. They're getting their besties in the movies. I still haven't, truth be told, I haven't watched Scream 5 yet because I read all the spoilers and whatever. And then there was
it's still fine. It's just fine. Like it's not. I think I ranked it above 3, but it's not actually that bad. But I wasn't over the moon about it. I liked 4 a lot better.
Well, and then the this next bit, I think it was Jordan that pointed this out to me. So there's a young comedian named Jack Knight who was a writer on Blackish, a writer on Big Mouth. He did a character on Big Mouth.
Devon.
Yeah. Devon, yeah. And he's one of the main characters in Bust Down, which is a workplace comedy that Dave and I have been getting into. And so dude is 28.
He was on the rise. Like I didn't even realize until you posted in the notes that he was in Bust Down. I was like, wait, what? Because I just binged that like a month or 2 ago, and I went and looked up, and he was like probably the second funniest guy on there. I mean, not to pull rank or anything, but like his character is pretty memorable. But that's too bad, man.
Yeah, it's weird when you see like the up and comers, and then it's like a tragedy. So yeah, that really sucks. And I feel bad that I don't know much about his stand-up comedy, but it's like I don't want to now then go be the guy that like looks up all the YouTube clips. You know what I mean? Like pay him respect in the industry, but then it's also like, I mean, but that's the the morbid curiosity will make him like slightly more famous, right? Like everybody will be looking at the clips, and then whatever, maybe he'll have like legend status, but probably in a couple of days we're gonna find out something horrible, something sad, but besides just passing on, whatever. Anyway, like all the local comedians or whatever that know him, they were all like talking about it or whatever. But I mean, that's it. I don't really know what else to say about that except for, a lot of people are going to miss him, and he was doing super creative work. So, Adam Scott is going to join, switching gears. Adam Scott is going to join Dakota Johnson in the Sony SpiderVerse movie, Madam Webb. Now, Did you guys ever watch the 1990s Spider-Man cartoon? Did you catch any of that animation? All right.
Here and there.
There's like a 6-part episode that's like almost half a season. And that's the only reason I know who Madam Web is because like she's like a super powerful psychic that has like a Spider-Man type costume, but she's like an old woman strapped to a life support chair because her powers also cripple her or whatever. But she can throw Spider-Man through like other dimensions and back and forth through time. And so she brought all these other spider people. It was like the original SpiderVerse. Like she brought like, a 6-armed Spider-Man and Iron Man Spider-Man, like all these other spider people to help the main Spider-Man, right? So the Sony movies have been like lame ducks. Like Venom was all right. Venom 2 sucked. Morbius is a shit show, the vampire one. And he's like a popular Spider-Man villain. But anyways, sum up short, besides the Spider-Verse animated movies, like the Sony stuff is not good. So Madam Web is a big character, and it's going to be played by a good actress or actor. I don't know what she likes, what her preference is, but performer. Dakota Johnson's pretty good. So I'm really happy about the casting. And then Adam Scott going in, I'm just wondering, like, are they finally going to have like a Peter Parker or like another Spider-Man in a Sony movie? Like at some point they have to like cross the lines. Jordan owns cats, and that was probably like a cat doing something in the background if you heard that. I guess her cat's against. Frank's against the casting, I guess. Sorry, Frank. It's Dakota Johnson. Do your cats not like 50 Shades of Grey?
Apparently
Were they not happy with the trilogy?
I think they're just unhappy that these good actors are getting crappy material.
Oh, well, I mean, like, look, I mean, Shakespeare toured the London theater like, 4 or 5 times out of the year. So if you were an actor in London, you were probably in a Shakespeare play. Now it's like Marvel's making the most movies, like, or Disney's making the most movies. And, I don't know. Everybody's in them. I mean, it's kind of like, pay off your student loans, get yourself cast for Marvel.
I was just going to say, like, I guess I'm happy so much as in I'm glad he's getting a good payday because I really like that actor. I'm afraid it's going to be a bad movie because, as you said, aside from Spider-Man proper, they have not done any of their spin-offs because I only saw the first Venom and that kind of sucked. It wasn't the worst, but yeah.
Okay, well, how about continuing in the line of comic book news? We covered a movie called Fire and Ice a couple weeks ago, and it's one of our popular episodes of this run that we're doing with fantasy-related movies. And then come to find out, like, they're about to expand the story in a Dark Horse comic book, like a Fire and Ice comic book.
They couldn't have waited till we did the show to have it in the
I know, it'd be great if it dropped at the same time. But, I mean, stuff like that does help an episode percolate after you release it. So I'm sure we'll have a tie-in anyway.
It's in the ether.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
Well, Jordan's dancing in the background as we play the theme song. I used to be able to give them all microphone control during the theme song, but apparently not. Put you on blast, Jordan. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm pretty sure I dance like every theme song, so I'm shocked you just noticed.
Yeah, sometimes to keep the energy up, I'll bob my head or something, or I'll go drink an extra soda. Dave does nefarious things when he's off camera, so we won't discuss what he does during the theme song break. Let's see. Tonight's movie does involve crime, actually. Talking about nefarious deeds. Actually, tonight's movie is Border from 2018. It's a dark fairy tale from modern times, and it does include a morality lesson, which the old fairy tales did. I wrote down the Google version in the notes, but I think I wrote down my own version. I think I like mine better. So, a lonely troll named Tina sniffs for love in all the wrong places until she meets another troll, and then she takes down a child predator ring. Like, I think if that was described somewhere online for a movie, I think I would click that faster than having to read through all the other stuff.
I mean, I think you should have added spoiler alert before telling people it was a troll, because that's kind of the mystery.
Isn't it obvious that I think it's obvious she's a mythological creature.
That was quite a Cliff Notes version as well, but
the Cliff Notes version. Okay, fair enough.
I'll take
I mean, yeah, that is boiled down to its essence. I can't argue that.
Which is what you have to do for clickbait, David. You just say what it is in a tantalizing way. Buy my course. No, just kidding. What's the online course? Yeah. Learn how to clickbait your blog with Johnny. Okay.
I mean, last week you guys were saying don't look at the synopsis and just watch. And so, I mean, I guess if I had seen that, I probably would definitely have watched it.
Which one?
Like,
what I said? Or
yeah,
what the long, or the 5-paragraph version from Google?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Your version. But yeah, anyways.
I mean, I think if you watch the trailers, I think if you watch the previews, you get an idea that something's definitely maybe supernatural. Maybe.
I mean, maybe. I haven't even seen any trailer. I literally went into this movie blind a few years ago because I'm one of those nerds that tries to watch everything nominated for an Oscar, and we'll get into it, but this was nominated for something. So I literally watched it not knowing a thing about it, which honestly is kind of the best way to watch it because I was like, what the hell's going on? Why does she look like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. If I had read something ahead of time, I might have like guessed it sooner, but and I kept watching like, why does she look like a caveman? It's like Cro-Magnon. Didn't understand it until you get it explained.
Oh, you thought she was going to be like a missing piece, like Neanderthals are just.
I honestly did. I thought she was like the missing link or something because I didn't read anything up on it ahead of time. So. Yeah. Do we want to get into some facts? I guess.
Yeah, Dave. I was about to say, what else do you have to say about this movie?
So speaking of Academy Awards, this was Sweden did try to get it nominated for Best Foreign Language Film, but it didn't get it. However, it was nominated for Best Makeup and Hairstyling. Did you want to say anything about that, John? Did you want to throw up some pictures of?
Do I want to say something about hairstyle? Oh, because you mentioned the makeup already? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So if you're watching the video version of this, I'm showing everybody the actor before the makeup and the actor after the makeup. I have her name written down. So the main actor, Eva Melander. So if you look at Eva, I mean, she's like a beautiful woman. She's stark, right? I think you'd call her more beautiful than handsome and like classically beautiful, almost Aryan. Dare I say Aryan? But like, and then the troll version of like after the makeup is on, you get to see like the Cro-Mag, which Dave was talking about. So I'm just showing the comparison, a side by side, because I thought it's pretty unique what they did. So
yeah, I looked that up myself, and I was like, whoa, like huge difference.
Jordan, what do you think on the side by side?
I am absolutely shocked. The like hooded eyes that they did for her in the movie, in the nose, and like kind of going back to the whole like Neanderthal brow. Just I don't know. This is just mind blowing.
It's like a night and day.
Yeah,
like you don't believe it. Like the side by side, folks, is like you wouldn't believe that is who is playing the character if you didn't see this side by side.
In retrospect, they deserve the Oscar for the makeup because, again, watching it looks flawless. You wouldn't imagine that it's prosthetics. But I don't remember what won out that year. Probably some sci-fi movie. So this movie was actually.
I don't know. No one cares about awards, but you, David. You're the only one that cares. About
I am. Yeah, we all still watch them because we all watched Will Smith gets our Chris.
I don't know, man. I've given up. I gave up. I watched that on Twitter. Like I'm like done. I'm done.
All right. Well, I guess I'm the last holdout. So this movie was actually based off of a short story by the same name from Let the Right One In, author John Lindquist, we'll call him because it's Swedish, so I'll probably screw up the pronunciation. Again, it's talking about makeup. The actress there took her 4 hours in a makeup chair every day, and she had to actually gain a bunch of weight just to play that role. So, wasn't just the makeup.
She's very attractive, though.
Yes.
We'll get to that during our favorite bits. I don't want to jump too far ahead.
So in Norse mythology, trolls are actually known to live in isolated areas in packs and are rarely useful to humans. So,
wait, start over. What are you saying? Are you dropping a troll fact?
So now we're getting into some troll facts.
Yeah.
Yes. In Norse mythology, trolls are known to live in isolated areas and packs and are rarely useful to humans. I actually saw that in a few spots. Like, they're not useful to humans at all. So,
what purpose would they serve in a human capacity? Like,
that's why I was
what would they use
confused.
a
But like, I
troll for?
found multiple sources that put it that way. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And actually, so in this movie,
look, historically, I don't want to be like trollist or speciesist, because that's one of the themes of the movie is like how humans hate trolls, right? And don't get along with trolls. But it's like you're talking about like how they're not useful to us. Yeah, like they don't let us cross bridges and they eat our goats. I mean, like, why should we even make deals with them? You know, not to get too far off the point. You got any more facts?
Just one. There is a scene in there where they are scared of lightning, and this actually goes back to Scandinavian folklore, where Thor, the god of thunder, would throw lightning at creatures like trolls and giants. So there was actually some.
So even troll history is kind of murky because you're like, because I wrote down that it was based on that part of the movie is based on Finnish mythology, but you mentioned Scandinavian, and did you say Norwegian?
Norse, yeah.
Norse, yeah. So it seems like they're
it's that region,
borrowing to build the mythology of the trolls, right?
Feels like all that section of Europe just, they all like trolls, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. Before we get to our favorite bits, I'm going to tell people about the Spider-Man movie. Because, hold on, I'll tell you why. You can get a free trial on Stars, and they just dropped from Marvel Studios. With his identity revealed, Peter Parker asks Doctor Strange for help. But when a spell goes wrong, Peter is forced to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man. Out now on Stars. Hook yourself up with a Stars free trial. It'll be in this episode description notes. It'll also be posted on our website, and I'll drop it on our social at some point. You guys can sign up for a 7-day free trial of Stars and watch Spider-Man No Way Home for free. Now back to the progress. Ha 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 ha. I flubbed it, but whatever. Back to the podcast already in. David, you want to back me up? Progress. You've heard it that many. How many times have you heard it? Oh, man.
Someday I'll catch on too, so I can help you out. But
oh yeah, sometimes I screw it up so bad I won't say progress, which is I'm trying to memorize it. Sometimes I'll say like now back to the feature presentation or like blah 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 whatever. Our segment, folks, not to like fourth wall you and totally go behind the scenes of the podcast and not actually give you a show, is Jordan's going to lead us in our favorite bits from tonight's movie.
Bits. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a favorite bit, but I'd probably have to go with like, honestly, the sex scene. It's not that it's my favorite. It's just like the most.
It stands out
because it's just like. It's honestly shocking. Like, it's just...
Oh, I can't see that on my notes in the red pen. Troll sex.
Yeah. Troll sex looks like a little fungus. I don't know what's going on. But it was just like... the shock factor was real. But, like, I also kind of wanted it for them really badly. I don't know if that makes sense. They just seem like two very lonely trolls.
The pining for love is really intense in this movie.
Yeah. Like, the growling, it's very... I don't know. I don't really know what adjective to use for that. But.
It's, in a weird way. I mean, they are physically, the makeup is going out of their way to physically make them look what we perceive to be ugly. But like the movie itself is actually really beautiful. Like,
I would say so too.
I kind of stepped off of mentioning the sex scene because I figured one of you two would, but I mean, it is kind of the landmark scene in the movie, if you will.
Yeah.
Because it's emotional and it's, it's. Again, yeah, they are physically what most people can say is not pretty, but like what they have together is beautiful, and like because the show there's a lid for every pot. You know what I mean?
Spoiler alert: she grows a magic penis.
I know, I saw it.
They're kind of reversed, folks. Okay,
yeah.
The female trolls have the male parts, and the male trolls have the female parts. A little bit like a seahorse, but in the movie you go along with it because first of all. It's all metaphorical, and at first you're just watching like a very lonely person who has like a shit boyfriend that erodes her resources, lives in her house. She clearly is paying for all the food, and I think she's paying for all his trips to take his dogs to dog shows or whatever he does in his free time. So you're kind of seeing these scenarios where like, oh yeah, like everybody's been in this position before or whatever. The relationship tropes are there that like it touches on everybody's moods. Then it gets a little weird. There's definitely some extraordinary stuff that you have to like process when you watch the movie. To be fair, not everybody's going to go along with the stuff I mentioned, but if you can get past that and ride the movie out, I think you get the message. And also keep in mind, it's a fairy tale. you know what I mean? Like it's like
fantasy,
whatever.
baby. It's fantasy.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know. My favorite bits are, I mean, I don't know if I can say specifically, but the whole subplot of her becoming basically a crime fighter, we'll just say. I don't know. I just found it interesting how this movie doesn't hold your hand. Like it feeds you out little pieces here and there, but I mean, at some point, yes, it does kind of flat out explain some things, but like up until then, you're just kind of figuring shit out as it goes along. Like, oh, well, she has sense of smell. And she can sense this fear on.
Well, see, people. I thought this was where the movie was like getting off track until you find out the reason why they're taking the movie there. Like, and then you go, wow, what a like great idea. So maybe that's the one thing I won't spoil is like the reason why she gets involved sniffing out like humans' worst behaviors and like why there's even a child killing ring or child abuse ring like even involved in the movie in the first place, because it seems so contrary to the rest of the story. And it comes like halfway in and you're like, why are we dedicating so much time to this part of the plot? But then it makes sense in the course of the movie. It makes complete sense when you find out why it gets this dark. But again, all the morality lessons from the old fairy tales were really dark and heavy stuff with a whimsical or fantastic approach to teach a lesson. And I think this movie like pretty much follows that skeleton.
Oh, building off what you said too, Dave, is like they alluded and explicitly did say like about the horrible things that were happening, but they didn't like have to visually show you the horrible things that were happening. And so you kind of could let your mind go there without them having to like show you horrific things being done. So
right. I mean, it's a great mystery. I mean, again, I suggest. I mean, obviously, if you've listened to this episode, you've heard about a lot of it. But like, honestly, tell people like go if somebody watches this and you really like it, the next person you suggested to, don't tell them anything about it. Just kind of let them figure it out.
Watch it. Yeah.
Because again, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because that's the way I watched it. But like, I do really think this movie is really rewarding if you know next to nothing about it. Because I don't know, if you tell somebody like, oh, it's a love story about trolls, you're going to either intrigue half of people and you're going to like repel the other half.
They're going to ask you if you're talking about Trolls 2 World Stage, you know?
Yes, exactly.
I got this feeling inside my soul. That's where my mind immediately went. But no.
Oh God! Yeah. Now see, I'm imagining those cartoon versions, just like the females mounting the males. Like, no, you're gonna. It's time.
It's magical, David. Let's move on to ratings.
What? You didn't say your favorites.
Well, my favorites?
Duh.
Well, I just agreed. I mean, my favorites were troll sex and the subplot of troll revenge. Once you realize why the revenge plot is even in the movie, it all makes sense. Oh, wait, and I was mentioning that I thought the lead was attractive. Like, first of all, she has like a working body, which I think is like a real body, and like that's super sexy to me. Like people are like talking about representation in movies. Like, oh, we want this minority wants to be represented. This sexual orientation wants to see more characters like them, etc., etc., etc. Like, I want, and maybe this is just like maybe this is my fetish. I don't know. I mean, every cinema goer is a voyeur. I mean, we are watching other people's lives. I mean, that's what we are doing. We all have this crutch, but like more regular people experiencing sex like they experience eating, sleeping, and going to work is like more attractive than just like Adonis Greek god sex in a movie. You know what I mean? So like this, I mean, Tina's like a hardworking regular person, has a shit job. And again, a boyfriend that doesn't like meet her needs or whatever. And then like, but talk about like vulnerability, like the nudity is part of the story in this movie. And it's not like to be put on display, but I'm thankful that it's like, I can appreciate the idea of like a regular person engage in that activity in a movie. Does that fall? Do you guys track what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You're just, I mean, to cut it down to its essence, you're just saying like, wow, it's nice to see somebody with a normal body type. Well, I don't know who's to say what's normal, but like average and not, like you said, just, Brad Pitt cut like a diamond, what no, I hear you.
The real. So
yeah, you notice you never see Brad Pitt's ankles, so I think he has shit ankles, okay?
Well, that might be because of Troy, and wasn't he like, Achilles?
Literally played
Can't
Achilles.
show it off. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. So my favorite bits are the vulnerability of the main actor, the troll sex, which we've mentioned now about 7 times. Do you want to rate the movie now, Jordan?
Yeah, binge now for sure. I'm gonna tell everybody to go watch this movie. So, what about you, Dave?
Definitely binge now. I was excited when I saw this coming up. I was like, oh yeah, I get to watch this again. You do not forget this movie. At least I don't think so. You, John?
Well, I'll say it's probably the most unique movie on the lineup, and for good reason. It'll stand out from the crowd, offering something a little bit different, but keeping the genre tropes included. It's a binge now, but I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. Like,
no,
you kind of
have to know your audience.
You got to be a little forward thinking. You got to be a little open minded.
I guess
who
I
knows?
just don't talk about movies to everybody. I only talk about movies that I would probably recommend this movie to. Like, I don't really talk about movies with everyone,
Yeah, well, I mean, I know there's a handful of people in my life that aren't going to be able to wrap their heads around a magic penis that comes out of a female troll. So, I'm not going to bring that to the barbecue. Like, John, what are you up to? Well, I just saw this movie. You guys, crack open another one and let me tell you about the magic penis I just saw in Border from 2018.
But it goes back to what Dave is saying, is that if you were to tell people about what the movie's about, they're
shutting down, right?
People going to watch it. Like, it's kind of one of those hard to explain.
It's not a movie, I'm stealing this from somebody else, I can't remember, but it's not a movie to suggest to normies. Basically, people if you people in your if you work in an office, regular movie going folk that maybe go out to the movies 2 or 3 times a year, kind of a thing. Like, don't.
Oh man, I used to do so bad at the work cooler talk, afternoon meetings. Holy crap, Jordan! Good luck to you.
Yeah, let me tell you, there's so many times where I'm like, I shouldn't have said that. Shouldn't have said that. Definitely shouldn't have said that.
I was kind of a judgmental jerk because I would hear over cubicles people. I would actually hear people talk about movies, but it was like the most mundane, pre Matthew McConaughey reconnaissance kind of movies, oh, did you see Fool's Gold? Like, oh my Jesus God, no. Like that kind of crap.
And did you, David? Did you see Fool's Gold?
No, I did not. Because I don't care about Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey getting together because I know it's going to happen.
Are you sure, David? They have to go through a lot of obstacles in that movie. Okay, it's not just easy.
Although I'm judgmental, I will watch Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, but I won't watch Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey.
Wow, he's biased against certain rom-com couples.
You know what? We all have to have standards. So
everybody watch the movie. We'll tell you nothing about it from here on out. We won't tell you anything more about Border. That's all. Wow. This is the first movie in a while that got a BN, right? Just been now right out the gate.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, we've been a little divided lately. That's crazy. We do have a fan service question, and it's really confusing. I'm trying to figure it out. Do we like XYZ films? Have we seen any of the films from this studio, and which ones can we recommend?
I actually went and looked it up because
I did the same thing.
There's actually quite a few good ones on there. They're a good production company. I know I just saw Duel.
Oh, you saw Duel? See, I didn't see that one yet. It's on my list.
That one's worth a watch. God, I was looking through their history. They actually have quite a few a lot of movies that are on Shudder, actually.
Well, Stowaway is on Netflix, and that one kind of let me down. That's a sci-fi about some astronauts, and they have a stowaway.
I know I stayed away from that one because you said
The Trip is on Netflix, and that's supposed to be good.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that one. Deep House is really good.
The Deep House. I saw that movie. That's a horror movie where it's like a found footage, but they go underwater, which is terrifying, and the haunted house is sunken, and then that's good, and I think that's on Hulu.
Sounds so interesting.
Very accessible.
C for me is actually really interesting, and that actually has a tie into a movie I think we're covering later this year. But basically, somebody who's impaired and has to have somebody on a service use their camera on their phone to like describe what's around them, and of course, people are attacking them. Actually, a really interesting movie. So yeah, I guess I like quite a few of XYZ movies as I'm looking through this. So.
I didn't recognize a single one of them, but there was some titles that I definitely want to take a look at.
Yeah.
Oh, Johnson, Wolf of Snow Hollow was produced by them, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
And She Dies Tomorrow, which was like my favorite movie that year that came out. So I guess we really do like some XYZ films.
Yeah, so one of our listeners must have been paying attention, was like, oh, I've heard them talk about XYZ films. Like, let me ask this flat out. All right, keep them coming. Keep the questions coming. You'll win some free movies.
Heck yeah.
So we've arrived at staff picks. If my co-hosts or I watch something this week outside of the movie of the week that we can recommend to our listeners and our watchers, I guess if they're watching the video stream on freaking YouTube or whatever. Yeah.
I would kick it off, but we've already talked about things that I've watched this week, which was How to Build a Sex Room. So
it took up the whole week. I get it.
Jordan found out they're living down the street.
Yeah, they're like all of my neighbors. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
go peep their sex dungeon, not in the polyamory family kind of way, but you know.
Yeah.
But Jordan, when
just
you
get a
said the
tour.
first episode's couple was in your neighborhood, I was like, wait a minute, like my first thought was like, it's throuple time.
No,
Like,
Oh yeah.
I was like, can I get along with this couple? Do we
the
get along?
whole
We have
season is in Colorado.
Oh,
Like,
is it the
all
whole
of-
season is all in Colorado?
I guarantee it. Like I can tell.
The fan ladies in there. Okay, so you mentioned it, the to get gross for a moment. I laugh so hard because there's a moment where the polyamorous couple, one of the ladies says, oh, like one of my fantasies is just for the whole family to get around me and piss on me.
and
I'm
pee
like,
on me.
and then my first thought was like, okay, she definitely better build
wait,
a
the whole
drain.
family, like the cousins.
She better
and-
build a drain. And then
nephews,
sure enough,
like-
one of the things they revealed was, and the drain. I'm like, of course they
It's
Yeah,
like
put the
5
drain in.
dudes and 2 chicks, and she just wants
That
like
was-
all of her
That's an imbalanced group of people.
boyfriends. To
I
pee
think
on
they were
her.
all very like the men seem to be into both. I mean, everybody seems to be into every one, so I guess it works for them.
Yeah.
Is it polyamy or a sequel to Human Centipede, David?
Little A, little B, maybe that might be one of their kinks. I don't know.
Well,
Hmm.
probably hers for sure because
Yeah.
she was into some interesting things, but no judgment.
Yeah.
That's
not-
why it's
not
in
my cup
Netflix's
of
top
tea.
10 this week. All right.
You know what? I'm gonna jump off a movie just to go along with the sex theme because this seems to be one of our dirtier episodes. There was a movie I
Don't
actually
tell
just
that
watched-
to David. Don't tell that to iTunes, Google, or YouTube for that matter. This is completely clean. Like, PG.
PG-17.
We did discuss a drain.
This
like
get
2
to
seconds
discuss
ago.
a
It's
drain,
a plumbing
exactly.
episode. We're talking about wiring. What are you talking about?
So I actually watched a movie on Hulu a few weeks ago that is also a very sex-oriented movie with one of our favorite British people. What's her name? It's called Good Luck to You, Leo Grand, and it stars Emma Thompson. Yes, Emma Thompson. And it's basically I'm not sure if it wasn't a play first, but it's this movie about this woman whose husband just passed, and she is buying the company of a sex worker, very young, very, according to my wife, who was like, ooh, the whole time watching it, a very attractive young guy. But it's basically this woman just kind of like, coming of age in her 60s and learning her sexuality. And you got Emma Thompson, so of course it's going to be well acted. I don't know. It was a very beautiful movie about a woman and her hoe, basically, or this woman buying a guy over time to like work out her sexual fantasies and become her, the sexual being.
So it's about a
supposed to be.
silver queen and her side piece.
I mean,
That's
in
actually written on the-
essence,
that's
but
actually
it's-
written on the- that's actually written on the poster. Is Silver Queen and her
But
side
it's
piece.
also, I mean, kind of like Border. I mean, the main, even though they're not going to last as a couple, like even those short meetings between them, like they talk a lot. Obviously, it's not screwing the whole movie, but like they talk about a lot of their emotions and her working through her sexuality and that kind of stuff. And it's a very interesting movie. I mean, it's I recommend it highly, especially if you want to see some good acting and. Oh, and I mean, not I'm sorry. I guess this is for the perverts. I mean, if you really want to see all of Emma Thompson, and I do mean all of Emma Thompson, there's your movie. She was in one of the Harry Potters, if not all of them. I don't know. For people who enjoy those movies. Good luck to you, Leo Grant. I don't hear anybody talking about it, and it's one of the better movies I've seen lately. But.
On the list it goes. What about you, John? Did you watch anything?
I did.
But you watched.
I remembered what I was going to tell you guys last week, and I was like, I'll just save it for tonight. I watched Working Girl, which has Melanie Griffith and
Harrison Ford? Or am I making
that? Yeah, it's Harrison Ford playing a guy in 1980s Wall Street who's not a douchebag, which that's also a total fantasy. But like he's not out there cutting throats and breaking hearts. Give me a break. Or he learned his lesson because he dated a monster who's like the villain. There's like a corporate lady who's like obviously was ruined by that world or whatever because she then is doing horrible things to maintain a position of power and steals an idea from Melanie Griffith's character who's trying to come up the honest way or whatever in this trade deal with a radio company and an energy company or something like that. And then yeah, I mean it's obviously about the disparage. Well, I mean, like, you know, whatever. you know what I mean? It's about all that stuff. It's entertaining. I'm on a rom-com kick. And then I watched season 3 of Solar Opposites. And I guess the bar is so high for that cartoon. It's kind of goofy. It's made by the co-creator of Rick and Morty and then some of the writers from that show and also the Star Trek
Corvo
cartoon.
is definitely the guy who does Justin Roiland, who does Rick, I think.
Yeah, he does the main voice.
Very clearly,
Corvo.
the DNA
like,
of those two shows are fused.
It's an alien family that gets stuck on Earth after their planet blows up, and they're supposed to like take over the planet, repopulate their planet, or whatever. But they do they have the most movie references I've ever seen in one of these.
I love it.
And, I mean, they reference the blind butler on Prince of Thieves, which is a Robin Hood movie. Out of like nowhere, they're like, "Remember Duncan? Oh yeah, blind Duncan, etc." And they took like 7 minutes on a diatribe about this character, which in another show wouldn't happen. But season 3 for me is kind of a letdown because whatever. I mean,
I didn't understand because you and I were talking about this the other day, and I hadn't seen the whole season. I just finished it up this afternoon actually, and now I kind of see what you mean. I don't know. I understand the problems you have with it, and I'm not going to defend it, but like I don't know, maybe. I think what you're saying, this is so much better than so many other shows I watch that even its weakest season is still entertaining enough to get a pass. But like I finally, once I watched the whole season, I got what you're talking about. Like they take a lot of what was nice in the first 2 seasons, they would devote one episode to the wall people. Anybody who watches the show knows that. This season, instead of giving one episode where it's only the wall people, they like padded half of the episodes with this wall people story and another one. Well,
here's the problem.
Cops.
So here's the problem that happens with shows is like something gets popular, so their B story is more popular than their A story, and they're like, oh, we have to keep telling this other story, otherwise, you know, I think that's what the viewers are tuning in for.
I wouldn't have minded it if they relegated it to like a third of the episodes instead of half. I mean, there was one episode where it was called Hulu Land, where like practically 2/3 of the episode was just the wall people.
Look,
like
you're making Jordan yawn.
No,
so we're done.
No, I'm excited to watch it just because you guys are. I mean, besides this season,
it's still a great
praise.
show.
Yeah.
I mean, but
it's really cool.
It's the weakest of the 3 seasons.
The teenage alien shrinks people down and puts them in like an ant maze, and they rebuild society inside of literally a wall. And you know they have to eat like giant pieces of candy, and there is like a feudal state. You know, almost like post-apocalypse, like everything's torn apart, and then somebody takes over like a warlord, and it's ridiculous. Yeah, so that's like
right up my alley.
The second plot. Otherwise, the aliens are kind of like fish out of water, and they're just like really intense. And obviously, there's gratuitous violence because it's a cartoon. It's it's like a Rick and Morty type. It's literally like if you're done with Rick and Morty and you need something else, Solar Opposites is there. But I feel like where Rick and Morty is so plot driven, like the Solar Opposites is more episodic fun because it's really just a sitcom, honestly, like a true sitcom.
Fact,
where the family just has adventures.
Jokes like about that.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It is a fun show. I mean, especially, but like I said, just this one was not as good as the last two. Although my favorite joke in the whole season was they were building a Michael Crichton's Congo Lego set based off the book.
The Lego
movie.
sets are like dramatic movies. Like,
oh, this is even worse than the time we were building John Grisham's The Firm Lego or something like that.
But speaking of aliens, next week we have a movie with a prince and a fellowship of rogues, including bandits and a cyclops. They're going to rescue his bride from a fortress of alien invaders led by the Beast. To slay the Beast, they got to find a magical relic called the Glaive. Of course, I'm talking about Krull. I'm taking a chance because I said we can't watch the most popular movies and review them on here, and I think most science fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, anime fans have probably seen Krull. But just like our Water Planet movie, where we watch the ice pirates look for the water planet, this is up that alley. So, again, this is kind of like, let's show this to Jordan and see what she thinks, and then bring it back to review it on a podcast, and then see what happens.
Well, can't wait for the ride. Oh.
So if you're looking to do some renovations in your home, go ahead and call David. He'll take care of that for you. He's got a Craigslist ad. Unless he took it down again.
It's probably up on bathroom wall somewhere. My business card.
Gonna get some weird ass requests for sex dungeons on Craigslist. So
hey, if you got a dream, we can build it, right, David? It's on your business card.
Yeah.